Okay, so we're about to jump into a really deep theological argument. But here's the thing, this isn't just about theology. As we're going to see, its defenders believe it's about the very foundation of knowledge itself. We're going to explore this pretty provocative idea from the theologian Cornelius Van Til. He basically says that the whole argument for an infallible Bible is actually a debate about our starting point for, well, for all of reality. It's this fundamental choice that he claims ends up determining everything else we think we know. So, our first stop has to be with the key figure at the heart of all this, B.B. Warfield. We really need to get a handle on the core argument that he so famously defended. Right, so Benjamin Breckinridge Warfield. This guy was an absolute intellectual heavyweight. In his time, he was pretty much the foremost champion for the idea that the Bible, and specifically we're talking about its original manuscripts, is the completely unerring word of God. But for Warfield, this wasn't just about, holding up tradition. See, the crucial point for Warfield really came down to logical consistency. He argued that if God is truly in control of everything in the universe, you could say sovereign in the realm of being, then it only follows that he must also be in control of how he communicates to us. He has to be sovereign in the realm of knowledge, too. A sovereign God, from this perspective, would naturally provide a sovereign, infallible revelation. Makes sense, right? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. It's all about how Cornelius Van Til frames this whole debate. He argues that this isn't just some minor disagreement over theology. No. He says it's a clash between two fundamentally opposed ways of seeing everything. It's like a fork in the road for all of reality. So the first path is what Van Til calls the modern principle. This worldview, it puts humanity and our own reason right at the center of everything. It starts with the assumption that facts, at their very core, are just random products of chance. Our reason, then, is really just a tool we use to impose some kind of temporary order on this fundamentally non-rational universe. The second path, the Christian principle, starts in a completely different place. It begins with a self-contained, sovereign God as the ultimate reference point for everything that exists. So in this view, reality isn't random at all. Every single fact, every event, has its own place and meaning inside God's single, coherent plan. Our reason, then, finds its true purpose in discovering that plan, in, as he puts it, thinking God's thoughts after him. And this just lays out the divide perfectly. It's a choice between two totally different starting points. One begins with God, which leads to a reality defined by divine order, and where knowledge is an act of discovery. The other begins with man, and that leads to a reality defined by chance, where knowledge is just our own temporary interpretation. According to Van Til, you can't reconcile these two paths. You just can't. So where does this choice actually lead you? Well, picking a starting point has massive consequences for how we understand pretty much everything, from the nature of a simple fact to the very concept of mystery itself. This table really shows the domino effect. If you start with that modern principle, a fact is just a random blip, and reason is just this net we throw over it to create a temporary pattern. A unique event is ultimately meaningless, what he calls a bare conjunction not understood. But if you start with the Christian principle, a fact has inherent meaning because of its place in God's plan, and reason is the tool we use to discover that pre-existing, meaningful order. And this leads to a fascinating argument about mystery. Van Til says that, the Christian view contains the profound mystery of a self-contained God, but he argues the modern view results in a total, all-encompassing mystery, a mystery where nothing can ever truly connect to anything else, because at the end of the day, it's all just grounded in randomness. Okay. This brings us to the final stake in this entire argument. According to this perspective, it's not just about religion or the Bible, it's about the very possibility of knowledge itself. And here it is. This is the core assertion, the real punchline of the whole argument. The claim is that without the foundation of a sovereign God who reveals himself rationally through an infallible word, the very act of learning, of knowing anything at all, becomes unintelligible. And why? Because there would be no ultimate connection between our minds and the facts of the universe. This quote just drives the point home, doesn't it? The argument is that human reason isn't destroyed by being grounded in divine revelation. Actually, it's the opposite. It's destroyed when it has no solid ground to stand on at all, when it's forced to operate in a vacuum of meaningless, random facts. Reason, in this view, needs a rational universe to reason about. So the final takeaway from Van Til's defense of Warfield isn't really just about a book. It's about a choice
a choice that he frames as being between a universe filled with divine meaning and coherence and one that ultimately collapses into a silent, unintelligible emptiness. It's a choice of starting points that defines not just what we believe, but whether we can even know anything at all.